The first gunshot shattered the morning calm at precision shooting range, but it wasn't coming from the firing lanes. Sarah Martinez dropped the target frame she was carrying and immediately recognized the sound of a .45 ACP, followed by screaming from the front lobby. 3 armed men had entered during the busiest hour, when 22 members were practicing their weekly qualifications. As range officer, Sarah was supposed to follow protocol, hit the silent alarm, and wait for police response. Instead, she moved toward the locked office where her Barrett M82 waited in its custom case, exactly where she had placed it after her final police operation 3 years ago. The members crouched behind shooting benches had no idea that their quiet range officer had once held the state record for precision shots under pressure. In 8 minutes, when the smoke cleared and sirens filled the parking lot, they would understand why some people choose to work around guns even after they're supposed to stop using them. If you believe that true skill never disappears, just waits for the right moment, hit that like button and let us know in the comments where you're watching from today. Sarah Martinez had learned to become invisible. 3 years, 2 months, and 16 days of practicing invisibility at precision shooting range, where members knew her only as the helpful woman who reset their targets and reminded them about safety protocols. They saw the reflective vest and safety glasses, not the steady hands that once controlled a Barrett M82 with surgical precision. The morning had started like every other. Sarah arrived at 5:30 a.m., unlocked the facility, and began her routine. Check the lanes, verify the target systems, ensure the ventilation was running properly. By 7 a.m., the first members would arrive for their weekly practice sessions, and she would fade into the background, watching amateur marksmen struggle with fundamentals she had mastered 2 decades ago. Detective Sarah Martinez had been a different person. 8 years with the Metropolitan Police Department's Special Response Unit, where her Barrett M82 had ended 3 hostage situations and saved 17 lives. The .50 caliber rifle had been her partner, an extension of her will, capable of precise shots at distances that seemed impossible to others. She held department records that would likely never be broken. But one classified operation had changed everything. A federal case that went sideways, politics that mattered more than truth, and a scapegoat needed to close the file quietly. Sarah's badge, her career, her identity, all stripped away in a conference room where men in suits decided her service record was less important than their reputation. The range became her refuge, a place where she could stay close to the world she had lost while helping others discover what marksmanship could mean. The members didn't know about her past, and she preferred it that way. To them, she was just Sarah, the range officer who knew everyone's name and brought coffee on cold mornings. The Barrett M82 remained locked in her office, hidden behind false panels she had installed herself. 50 pounds of precision engineering, gathering dust while she watched recreational shooters celebrate hitting targets at 25 yards. The irony wasn't lost on her, surrounded by firearms all day, but forbidden from using the skills that once defined her. Tom Bradley was practicing his usual Tuesday routine when the front door exploded inward. The retired accountant dropped his .22 rifle and dove behind the shooting bench. His weekly target practice suddenly transformed into a nightmare. Around him, 21 other members hit the ground as 3 armed men stormed into the range, shouting commands and waving pistols. Sarah heard Tom's rifle clatter to the concrete floor. She recognized the panic in voices she had come to know well over the past 3 years. Mrs. Chun, who practiced every Thursday for her concealed carry qualification. Mike Rodriguez, the young father learning to shoot for home protection. Jennifer Walsh, the nurse who found peace in precision shooting after her divorce. These people had become her responsibility, her community, the closest thing to family she had allowed herself since losing her badge. And now they were trapped, terrified, looking to her for answers she wasn't supposed to have. The armed men were professionals. Sarah could tell from their movement patterns, their positioning, the way they controlled the space. This wasn't random violence. It was planned, coordinated, dangerous. They wanted something specific, and they were prepared to hurt innocent people to get it. Sarah's training kicked in before her conscious mind could process the situation. She moved along the back wall, staying low, using equipment racks for cover. The members couldn't see her, but she could assess the threat, count the weapons, analyze the tactical situation. 3 men, armed with .45 ACP pistols and what appeared to be body armor. They had positioned themselves to control the entrance and the main shooting area. Professional movement, military-style communication. These weren't random criminals, they were operators. The office was 30 feet away. Inside that hidden compartment, her Barrett M82 waited with a full magazine of .50 caliber rounds. 5 shots that could end this situation before police arrived, before anyone got hurt, before these professionals could execute whatever plan had brought them here. But using the Barrett would expose everything. Her past, her skills, the carefully constructed invisibility she had maintained for 3 years. Sarah Martinez, range officer, would disappear forever, replaced by Detective Sarah Martinez, the disgraced sniper who wasn't supposed to exist. She looked at Tom Bradley, still crouched behind the shooting bench, his face pale with terror. At Mrs. Chun, clutching her small purse like a lifeline. At Mike Rodriguez, probably thinking about his 2 young children waiting for him to come home. The choice wasn't really a choice at all. Sarah reached the office door and slipped inside, her movements silent despite the chaos outside. The hidden compartment opened with a soft click, revealing the Barrett M82 in its custom foam case. The rifle looked exactly as she had left it, cleaned, maintained, ready. 50 pounds of precision that had once been her identity. She lifted the Barrett from its case, muscle memory guiding her hands through the familiar motions. Check the magazine, verify the chamber, adjust the scope for the range's interior dimensions. The rifle felt like coming home. Through the office window, she could see the tactical situation developing. The armed men were gathering the members into a group, controlling them with professional efficiency. They were looking for something specific, probably the range's safe, where valuable firearms were stored overnight. Sarah opened the office door and stepped into the range proper, the Barrett M82 steady in her hands. The conversation stopped immediately. 22 terrified members stared at their quiet range officer, now holding a rifle that looked like it belonged in a war zone. The 3 armed men turned toward her, their weapons shifting to track this new threat. For a moment, time suspended itself in the space between recognition and action. Then Sarah Martinez, Detective Sarah Martinez, did what she had trained for her entire career. The first shot took out the leader from 40 yards, the .50 caliber round precise enough to disable without killing. The second and third shots followed within 2 seconds, disarming the remaining threats with the kind of accuracy that seemed impossible to anyone who didn't understand what true marksmanship meant. The Barrett M82 fell silent. Smoke drifted from the barrel. The range's electronic target systems beeped softly, registering impacts that exceeded their measurement capabilities. Tom Bradley stared at Sarah, his mouth open in amazement. Mrs. Chin straightened slowly, her fear replaced by awe. Mike Rodriguez looked at the woman he had known for 3 years as if seeing her for the first time. Sirens wailed in the distance, growing closer. Soon, the range would fill with police officers, paramedics, federal agents asking questions Sarah wasn't sure she wanted to answer. Her invisibility was over, her carefully constructed new life shattered by 8 seconds of precision shooting. But the 22 members of Precision Shooting Range were alive, unharmed, safe. And sometimes, that was the only metric that mattered. Sarah Martinez set the Barrett M82 on the shooting bench and waited for the questions to begin. She had been a detective, a sniper, a range officer. Now she was something else entirely, a legend who had chosen to step out of the shadows when shadows were no longer enough. The Barrett had spoken, and its voice carried the authority of someone who had never forgotten how to use it. Some skills never fade. They just wait quietly until the moment demands their return. And when that moment arrives, precision speaks louder than any explanation ever could. If this story moved you, please hit that like button, share it with someone who understands that true courage comes in many forms, and subscribe to our channel for more stories about the quiet heroes who walk among us every day. Because sometimes, the most powerful people are the ones who choose to stay invisible until invisibility is no longer an option.